Hello, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm going to be working on a layout that I am redoing. I left the original video up that is November's Mix It Up Monday video. I will link it down below so you can go back and watch the original mess. I just didn't like the layout. I did completely tear up the background, but I did save my photos and my embellishments and title. I was pretty good about doing that. And I did recreate some mixed media, which I will show you the process right after this introduction. What I have done now is I have went ahead and I have allowed it to dry overnight, and I'm going to mat it on this Where to Next piece of paper. Now, this piece also has the beautiful yellow that I used to mat my photos originally. You can see where I ripped it off the original layout. So I'm going to use this side to mat and not the yellow. It helps bring in more of the colors from the stripe that I have from the original layout. And still have a title. I also found a ticket kind of just laying around. It potentially came off another layout and fell off either because I didn't glue it down or it didn't stay. No idea which layout it came from, so I'm going to put it on this one just so that it doesn't get lost in the mess that is my space. Actually, my space is fairly clean right now, but it could use some more cleaning. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to get started. I'll be right back. All right, I showed you this background pre-done already, but I'm going to start with the ink smushing technique. So I just laid down my Distress Oxide, that is chipped sapphire. I'm going to cut a piece of packaging. I've sprayed it with the ink with water, and I'm going to add a little bit more ink. I found that sometimes doing this makes it a little bit darker, and so I'm going to do this, just kind of get a bunch of this blue all over this white cardstock. This is a Vicki Boutin Foundations paper from American Crafts. It's one of the products that I will be missing from American Crafts. I adore this cardstock. I do have several of the pads left, so hopefully I will be able to go ahead and use it up over time. My beloved Joann's cardstock is also going to run out eventually, but I have a lot of it as well. So this is stencil butter from the Crafter's Workshop. That would be Miss Penny trying to decide if I have food. She is very food motivated, and she's very curious what this stuff is. Now, sometimes I want to make a complete 12-inch border with a smaller stencil. And to do this, you have to be very careful, and I do okay. Get it mostly across just by lining it up and then lifting up that edge. It does smudge it a little bit. Now I'm going to take the reverse side of it, and I'm going to just pat it down on that background and give it a little bit more waves, and I'm going to pat it down some more, just trying to get use of that texture paste off there. So I'm going to cut my branding strip. I am not going to gut this piece of paper. I think I had at least one more of them in my stash. I'm going to leave it 12 by 12. You could absolutely gut this if you want. If you want to make sure that you have it for another layout. I just chose not to do it on this one. Now I am still using Brandy Joe's sketch, and I showed you that on the original layout or video, which I will have linked down below. So now you can still see the mess that I have on the back of these photos. And I'm going to cut this fun foam into pieces so that I can use it to lift up my photos and the embellishments that I have there. This takes just a tad bit of time to get on here. I'm going to put a little bit on every photo, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with my Nuvo glue, Sweet Petunia glue gun thingy.
the glue bottle actually floats up every time I squeeze it, and you're going to see me push it down several times while I'm putting glue on here. It also doesn't seem to put out very much glue, which is annoying, and somebody suggested that this might be because my bottle was empty. Well, it's been like this since the bottle was full. It's just an ongoing problem. I actually am curious if I have a defective model, but I'm getting all of this fun foam on here, and then I'm just going to place everything back down on the background exactly where it was on that original layout. And I will add some additional embellishments here, but first I want to get the rest of my title, which says vacay mode. Those letters, I believe, were from Color Study or Sweet Rush, not sure which. I got them in a Vicky Bouton box, so, and I've already thrown away the packaging, so I'm not really sure what they are. I'm kind of having a little bit of trouble getting that title back on there so that it all fits, and I'm going to have to push it over several times. One of the things that I also do off camera is I add a little bit of foam tape underneath that O because it keeps falling down and it's not level. And I'm just gonna start adding all of this stuff back on here. I did retype my journaling in Canva and reprint it out, makes that pretty easy. And now I'm gonna just add a little bit more embellishments since I don't have such a busy background. I'm gonna add a third cluster of these felt clouds from this hip kit. This was, I believe, a May 2023 hip kit. I have a lot of it left, and so I'm just kind of using all the things. I'm going to take some of these black chipboard hearts, 3 of them, and put them by my cloud clusters. That way I'm just kind of building up a little bit more of a cluster, and then I'm going to add a couple of the enamel dots from the same hip kit on there as well. I'm going to add 2 by each chipboard heart. And then can you see that hexagon right there? It says right now. I'm going to put that up there in that corner. Now, fun facts, that photo is actually upside down. I'm not going to take it apart. I noticed that after it dried, and so I'm not going to take it apart again. It's fine. Everything's fine. Seems like this layout just wanted to be a disaster from the beginning. So I tied a bow, and there we go.
Okay, I got this layout redone. Much happier with the way that this turned out. Yes, my texture paste is messy, but I kind of like it because it's supposed to be a watery background. Added more embellishments since I didn't have all of the chipboard and stuff from the first layout on here. So I added another cluster of the felt clouds from the hip kit collection, and then I pulled in some black chipboard hearts as well as some enamel dots from that same hip kit collection, and another piece of the chipboard and a piece of twine. Twine just came from my stash. I have a bunch of it in a lot of different colors, so glad to get that used up. I'm sure that you saw I had typed out my journaling. I used Canva to do that, and then I cut it into strips and popped it up with foam tape. Otherwise, you saw everything else I did right here on camera. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I'm going to thank you for putting up with my craziness with this particular layout. Again, I just want to point out that sometimes we just make mistakes. We do stuff that we don't like, and it is okay. It's just paper, and you can tear it up and start again. That is perfectly okay. One of my biggest rules in my scrapbooks is I have to like the layout. I try not to put out anything that I don't like, and if I don't like it, I get rid of it. This is actually the second layout that I did in the last 30 days that I have trashed. The other one I didn't do on camera, but didn't like how it turned out in the end, and I threw it away on the day that I'm recording this, and I've already reprinted the photos, and I'll re-scrapbook those photos another time. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.